Well, on ArcGIS Pro, I'll try and keep it as short as possible so that we'll be able to, get the maximum, but in a short time. Right. So I'll be going through ArcGIS platform from the desktop to online to the mobile platform to give a wholesome idea to how ArcGIS actually works, right? In terms of GIS and workflow. Yes. So you can already see my over here. ArcGIS Pro is open, and usually this is the interface that you get if you don't have much work in your software, right? So to start any ArcGIS work, we need to create what we call a project. We'll talk briefly about those things. So quickly, let me start from here. As I was saying, the ArcGIS desktop, previously they had ArcMap, but now they have decommissioned it, and ArcGIS Pro is the main desktop software that they are supporting, right? So the workflow basically is you start from desktop, and then you publish your work to online, and then you are able to use the web map that you have published or created online to be able to use it in a mobile application. So desktop, online, and then mobile, right? So for ArcGIS Online, we have the normal ArcGIS Online, or let me say for the cloud-based ArcGIS platform, we have the ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise. So online is for individuals and corporations all together, but your data and services are hosted on Azure's cloud system or cloud infrastructure. But for enterprise, you have your own hardware, your cloud hardware. You have your own servers that you host your ArcGIS services and data on. Then, as I was saying, you publish your work from the cloud or from online or from enterprise, and you're able to sign in to the mobile apps like Field Maps, Survey 123, Quick Capture, and so on, and you're able to access your work. And you're able to use the mobile to collect data and also to visualize your data, right? So ArcGIS is basically, the end product is basically apps and maps, okay? And whatever you are getting after your analysis, after your map making, the output is going to be either a map or an app. So even if it's a dashboard, it's an app output, right? So a few things that we need to understand with reference to ArcGIS. You know how every GIS platform has their own kind of terminology. Well, just some 3 or 4 different terminologies for ArcGIS. You have a feature class, which is the basic building block for GIS work. It's some also call it vector data. Yes, basically a feature class is your points, your lines, your polygons that you're able to use to create your map and to visualize your geographic data. Then we have raster data sets, which also is basically your data, but in a more pictorial form. And your feature class usually comes as shapefiles, right? And has the .shp file format, whilst the raster dataset can come in a .tiff format, right? So we have file geodatabase, and it is the storehouse for your data. It is the storehouse for everything that is within your ArcGIS Pro environment. so that you'll be able to have everything in one place and then make your work easier. Then also, to start any ArcGIS work, when you look under the new here, it says new project. So every ArcGIS work is called a project. Okay. So when you click map here, it opens a pop-up window and you're able to add in the details for your new project. So for the sake of this work, we will just name it GIS tutorials, right? And in order to make sure that everything you are working on is in one place, you have to change the directory. So the default directory is in your documents, ArcGIS, and then projects folder, right? But we want to put it somewhere that it will be easier to locate when you are, on your own. You are navigating yourself. So let's just put it here. Now, when you keep this option checked, it will create a folder with the name of your project so that it's easier, or else your data may be just scattered all over. So it's best to keep it this way. So then it opens up, and give it a few seconds and you're able to get into your workspace. So just to go over the interface, we have some tabs and panes and windows that are available to us. So on the top here, you have your menu tabs, your project, you have your map, insert, analysis, view, edit, imagery, share, help. Now, there are times where you're going to see some tabs here too. Those are called contextual tabs. They only show up when you are within a certain tab and within a certain tool. Okay, then based on the context of whatever you are doing, it gives you those other tab options so that you can get more functionalities out of the software. Right. So we've created a new project. The next thing to do is to add in data, right? So along the way, I'll be poking holes into certain other functionalities that the software has. So to add data, there are several ways of adding data. You can simply drag and drop. You have your shapefiles, you have your TIFF, you have your, the point line polygons. You can just simply drag them and then drop them, just like many other GIS software. Okay, so this guy right here, which is the base map, you can toggle it on and off if you do not want that background. But as you know, it helps you to know that your data has the right coordinate system and it falls in the right place. So to change the base map to the several options, a whole lot of options that you can choose from, imagery, hybrid, streets, based on the kind of project you are embarking on. So for now, we'll leave it this way. So to add data the old-fashioned way, you come to the map tab, and in the layer pane, you click the drop down to add data, and you can browse, you can select several options. So we add one of our data sets this way, and then we will find or we'll use other options to also add other data sets. So this one leads you directly, you find your data. So the data we want to be adding, we are going to work with water bodies, health facilities, and roads. So basically a polygon, a point, and a line. So water bodies, my water bodies data set, I think is within right, Ghana natural, I think. Yeah. Okay, so this guy, So you double click and go inside and click the shapefile, the .shp, and right, it gives you this. So we also need to add the boundary data set, right? So this is one step. You can simply just click the add data button and it will open up our data source, right? So we can go back in, it will lead us to the last known location. And let's add in a region of Ghana data set. Do I have that here? Regional capitals, facilities. This is just a second. So you have that here. Nonetheless, let me just find Ghana 16 regions, right? Okay. So add that. Now, as you can see right now, the latest data I added in has covered up the previous data. That is because of how the ArcGIS processes feature layers, right? So what you can do is come into the content tab on the left side here, then click and then just drag it below and you can have your features. So this is the content tab on the left. On the right is your catalog. These are default panes. These are panes, default panes that are open, and you can always see them unless you disable them or you undock them or unpin them. So if you want, you can float them and then put them in any different location, just like in most other GIS software, right? So another way of adding in data is to connect a folder. So that is probably the easiest way because you know your data is always at a specific location, right? So you come into the catalog and under the project tab, you go through and look for folders and you right click. So before that, when you double click, you realize that it has created a default geodatabase for us, right? It's created a geodatabase. This .gdb is a geodatabase. Currently, we don't have anything within the geodatabase. We have data in the project, all right, in the workspace, but we don't have data within the geodatabase. So what we can do to add these two features or feature layers that we've added into the geodatabase, you can right click, go to import feature classes and give it a second, and then you can select the features that you have in your workspace. You can also just click and then go and look for your data sets wherever they are. As I said, the geodatabase houses your work or your data, your analysis, everything. So it's best to always work within that space. Right. So now you see they are within the geodatabase. Right. So back to adding data or adding a folder connection. So you right click folders and gives you the option to add folder connection. Like click that and then go to your data. Then so you must have it at a folder level, right? If now I have all my data within this data folder. So if I double click and select any one of these folders, it's only going to add any of these folders, not all the data. So unless you want to do that one by one, you can simply come to this and add the whole directory. So when I come back to the folders, you realize I have all my data here, right? So you can simply just go through and then get your individual data one by one, right? So we've added the two polygons, we've added the regions, and we've added the water bodies. So what's another thing we want to add is the health facilities down here. So you can simply click and drag right? These are all help facilities. And then to add roads, you can also right click and go to add to current map. So that is like 3 ways of adding data to your project or your workspace. Good. So as I said, you can take off your base map if you do not need them. So now that you have your data in there, in your workspace, one thing you should always do is to check, before you make analysis, is to check the attributes information or the attribute data of your data set and try and see what you can actually do with it. So to do that, you right click on any of the feature layers and you go to attribute table and it pops up, right? So you just look through and then try and find out what kind of data you have in there, right? So to further analyze the data, you can select your data. There are 2 ways to select your data. Use the select by attributes button here, right in the attribute table, or go into, still in the map tab, go into the selection pane and you can select using any of these options or tools here. Now, talking about contextual tabs. Now, you see table, feature layer, labeling, and data tabs have been added, and they are within a background. They have a different background to that. Yes, so that is based because of the functions that we have engaged currently. So all those are there to further help the user to create or to perform different functions in the software. Right. So let's say we want to, so let me give the broader exercise. Okay. So our exercise for today will be to simply create a map layout for Greater Accra. So we don't want all the regions. So first thing we want is to create a map layout for Greater Accra. So whatever we want to do, we have to focus it on Greater Accra. So we have to come to our Ghana regional map data set. Right click, go to attribute table, and there we have several information on our data. So the names of the fields, okay, the names of the fields, I didn't generate this data myself, so as it was given to me is what I'm using. So you realize that the names of the field are not easily readable, but when you analyze the data sets within, you'll be able to tell which one is the field of interest. So we want to use this to select just Greater Accra region, which is this guy here, right? So you realize that once you have selected it, even in the attribute table, the region is selected in the map. So currently, let's turn off these other features and just concentrate on the region. So we've already selected the Greater Accra region, but we want to make it stand alone. Okay, we want to make it a layer on its own so that whatever work we do will be concentrated on just Greater Accra region. Now, anytime you have something selected, you have a feature selected within ArcGIS Pro environment, this little button here will turn on, meaning it's a clear button. So if it's turned on, even without you intentionally selecting something, you should know that something has been selected somewhere. And if you go on and share or you go on and make an analysis, it may be simply based on that feature that has been selected. So just that is by the way. So if you don't want to select any feature, you want to work on the whole data set, you can simply click it and it will deselect. But for now, we actually want to select it. So we are going to click and then select. So as I was saying, there are two ways. You can click select by attributes here, and it will bring up a window, and you put in a query where you take note of the field name, click the select a field where RGN NM 2012, put in an operation. We want it to be set at is equal to, then you select Greater Accra. Right now, that is also another way of selecting it instead of just clicking on the far left here. Now, to actually make it a layer, you can come back to the feature layer, right click, go to selection, and then come down to make layer from selected features. So that's one of the easiest way to create any layer. So you click make a layer from selected features, and you realize it will be a layer on its own that has been created here. Ghana Regional Map 16 selection. So you can just click inside the name, just like a folder in your Windows, okay, and then rename it to Greater Accra. Then press enter or click anywhere else. Now you realize that when we turn off this layer, we have just that, just the Greater Accra region. So, but as it stands, it is not a shapefile on its own. To make it a shapefile on its own, what you can do is to right-click the layer, go to Data, and Export Features. So it opens up the Export Features window, and you can make it a feature class. So let's select the geodatabase. Yes, it's within the geodatabase. Let's just name it Greater underscore Accra. Right. So for ArcGIS Pro, best practice is to use underscores instead of spaces. It's safer that way. So now let's turn off just the layer and then maintain the actual feature class. So whatever you add to the geodatabase, you can move from the geodatabase and then just add it to your workspace. So let's get rid of this, right click and remove. We can also get rid of this, but for now, let's maintain it. So to change the symbology, you can simply click in the symbol here. So for polygons, it shows as this. For lines, it shows as a line. For points, it shows as a point. You click in there, and on your right side, you see a symbology window that is open. You can change the symbology. Click on the properties, change the color, and let's make this guy brown. Click apply, and we are good to go. So there we have Greater Accra. Once we make the roads and the health facilities visible, we realize that the work or the interface we have right now is probably not the best. We can't create a map like this. Okay, we want just a map of the area of interest. So there are some functionalities within ArcGIS Pro that we will come to learn in the next few minutes. And before that, I want to take you through how to create a feature class. Okay, so let's say you don't have data. you don't have any data to use. You are now creating a feature class, or you want to create a feature class that you intend convert into a shapefile so that you can be able to add data within your ArcGIS environment. So what you have to do is go to your geodatabase. This is our geodatabase right here. And within your geodatabase, we have a feature, we have a geodatabase, we have the feature data set, and we have a feature class. So best practice is to create a feature data set, and within the feature data set, create a feature class. So you can simply go ahead and create a feature class, just like we have 3 feature classes within the geodatabase. But as I said, best practice is to create a feature data set first. So we click that and give it a name. So let's just give it, let's say venues, and we can keep the coordinate system the way it is. Environment, we keep it the way it is, and just click run. It creates a feature data sets for us. Now, in this is called a geoprocessing window or pane, right? So whenever you perform a geoprocessing action, make sure to click the back button and go back before you continue and to create or to perform another activity. Okay, or else it will pick the data from the previous activity you performed. So now we are going to create the feature data set within this feature class within this feature data set. So you right click the feature data set, go to new, and then you can go to feature class. So now you can also give it a name. So let's say still venues. Now you give it a field name and an alias. So the alias is the name that will be shown at the front end for the user to use, right? So if you don't give it an alias, it will simply show the user the back end name. But maybe the actual name you want the user to know, maybe it's a whole question. Okay, maybe how many people are within this household. That is the question you want to ask the user. But you can't use that whole sentence as a field name. So you can simply make it maybe HHNO, household number, right? And the user may not be able to understand that. So it's best to give an alias and then help the user to be able to understand. So here is where you choose whether you want to create a polygon feature class, a line point, a multi-patch, multi-point, a 3D object, an annotation, a dimension. We are sticking to these first 3. So let's say we are creating a polygon feature class. So we stick with polygon, and from here you are basically done. But at next, you can add a field. So let's say you want to give it name. Now name should go with text. So you change the data type to text. And then maybe ID. Maybe venue ID. Venue ID. So as I was saying with alias, here in this view, right? When you're adding fields this way, the alias window is down here. So you should also come down here and put in the actual name. So let's say name of this venue. So whilst the field name doesn't allow spaces, the alias allows spaces so that you can give an actual understandable sentence in there. You can put it in there. So venue ID should also be a text because it may be a mixture of numbers and letters. So you come here and venue ID. So Let's add just one more field, capacity. Okay, capacity, you can keep it as an integer, so as a short or as a long. Float and double decimals, but you can't have 0.2 capacity, so you stick with short or long. So we can do short and then come to the alias and then put in capacity here too. Now we can be done with this. Okay, if you want, I'll also show you another way to add more fields later on in the fields view. You can click next and leave the spatial reference the way it is. Click next, and click finish. Right, so we realize in the contents venues has been added, but it has no attribute information because data has not been added. You see name of this venue ID, capacity fields are in here, right? We are not going to be working with this. That was just to show you how to create a feature class. So to do the same, you have to go back in there, and then to do the same for a point or a line, you have to go back in there. Then I'll show you the usefulness of this maybe way later on. All right, so we're already about 30 minutes in, and let's just move on and see how far we can go. So back to this Greater Accra area. Okay, let's say because we want to create a features just within the area of interest, we will perform an action or a geoprocessing action that is called clip, so that we clip the roads and the points to the Greater Accra boundary. Okay, yes. So to do that, we have to go to Analysis tab. Click the Analysis tab, and it opens the Analysis tools. So you go to Tools, and then on your right-hand side, where the catalog pane is, you have the geoprocessing pane being opened for you, right? So when we go to Toolboxes, there are a list of several tools available for use. Because this ArcGIS Pro user license is this GIS Professional, you have almost every other tool that is available. So there are what we call extensions. Extensions also allow the user to be able to perform more geoprocessing actions depending on the field they find themselves. So there are extensions for hydrological surveys, there are extensions for civil 3D, several other GIS works. Okay, so looking for your field, your geoprocessing tool may be a difficult task. They may be the same, maybe join. Okay, there may be a join tool for data or under data management, and then maybe under cartography tools. So the best way to find out is actually maybe you go through the ArcGIS Pro implementation guide, or maybe perform the geoprocessing action and then find out if that's what you want. So we are using the clip data management tool for now. So you can go into the search bar, find tool search bar, and then just look for clip. It will give you several options. Now, as I was saying, there's clip and analysis tool, which is what we want. We'll come back to it later. There's a clip layer, geoanalytics desktop tool. There's a clip raster data management tool. There's clip locator, pairwise clip, flip, so everything that is closely related to clip, right? So what we want to actually do for now is to use clip. Now, an advanced version of clip is pairwise clip. Okay, they're basically the same thing. So click on clip, and so as it's saying here, the pairwise clip tool provides enhanced functionality or performance. So it's basically the same thing, but just maybe the pairwise clip is a little bit faster. So let's just stick with clip for now. So you set your input feature, right? Your input feature as what you want to be clipped, okay? The features that will be clipped. So you want to clip roads, okay? Right, and then your clip features. So what are you clipping roads to? You want to clip it to Greater Accra, right? So it will give you an automatic name and add just the function to it. Now, when you click run, you should have a clipped road data set. So once you disable the Ghana roads data set, you realize that you have roads just within the Greater Accra. I think you should further change this guy. Let's see, Greater Accra. Let's see, I think this would work. So we make the roads brown as they should be. Right, that's not brown. Right, so we have this. So you realize that zoom in, everything is right within the data. Right, so for geoprocessing tools, the ones we'll be focusing on, or the ones you may be using more often, there's clip, there's merge, there's buffer, right? So we'll go through some of those, maybe not the merge, but we will go through the buffer for now. So because this is what we will actually use, we can change the name to, we can rename it to roads, and then maybe collapse this guy, collapse this guy, collapse this guy, so that doesn't interfere. So now we want to clip the points data set to the health facilities data set. So as I said, you click the back button and then reselect the clip. So this time, let's click pairwise clip. Go to health facilities as the input and go to the Greater Accra as the clip feature, and then it gives us name. Then we can run. So let's deactivate the layer, health facilities layer, and we are left with this guy, the clipped layer. So let's change the name to health facilities. Health facilities. Let's remove this guy. Health facilities. Right. So there. So next, what we should do is to add labels. Now, because it's basically a large scale map, adding labels for the points is going to be a lot cumbersome. It's going to make the work look a lot cumbersome. If you're working with maybe a small area, right, you know, adding labels will make it look very good. So as I said, we are trying to create a map layout. So you should be saving your work every now and then, because the software can crash intermittently. Right. So to add labels, you simply right click and then click label. And to set what is, or to configure the labels, what shows as label, can go back in, go to properties, right? You go to properties and you can go to, right, it should be label properties, variable name. Right, so let's do labeling properties and see. Right, so this is where you should change it to, you should change the feature name that pops up to road name. I think it's currently set at administrative name. So you can go in there, change this guy, verify that it's legit, and right. So now we have names on our roads. This makes more sense. Then also maybe you want to add a label for the Greater Accra. So currently you can see it's showing South, right? But that is not the name of Greater Accra. So you can go back in there, labeling properties for Greater Accra. It's showing name. So the best way to know what name it should show is to look at or what field it should show as the name is to look at the attributes table. So you realize that it is showing name, feature.name, and this is the feature.name, but this is not what we want to show. This guy is what we want to show. So you can simply take that off, take the whole thing off, and look for RGN 2012, this guy, and then double click, verify, and apply, and it should show as Greater Accra. So for labeling, I think it has to do more with your own how you want it to look like, okay, your own convenience. So I'll leave that to you to explore more. But for now, let's stick with this. So we have boundaries, we have lines, we have our points. So let's add the last data sets, the water bodies. Once we show that, it's also all over the place. Right. So we make sure it is above the Greater Accra in terms of the order. Right. So go back to Geoprocessing, go to clip, and then natural, and then clip features Greater Accra, and then you run. So it gives us this. We take the original one off and water bodies. Right. We rename it to water bodies. So I think our color is also conflicting. Let's just take the color off, and then yes, and then make the water bodies blue as it's supposed to be. Right. And then also label. Okay, so it's not just water bodies, it's water bodies and reserves. Game reserves. Yes, that's the name of the data. So once again, if you want to select just a few of the features, okay, you want just water bodies, you can go in there and then select attributes, select by attributes based on the type. So everything that is, like, I think most of them are water bodies. It's just for Accra, it's just the Achimota Forest Reserve. So we can leave this for now. Yeah, we can leave this for now. Okay, looks like the labeling also is not showing. Yeah, so the labeling, you have to also change what it's showing as the label. So attribute table, name. Okay, not all of them have a name. You build that name. Water bodies. Okay, so let's just use type. Let's just use type. Verify and apply. And it's water. Okay. Let's stick to this guy. Not all of them have names, so let's just stick to this name. Right. So as it stands, if this is your final output, you can simply go ahead and create a layout. Okay. So maybe you want to know area that the water bodies are covering. Okay, so what you can do is to go into the fields view. So you right click the water bodies layer, go into the attributes table. You can simply also go to data design and click fields. Okay, so those are two ways of getting to the fields view. So when you go this way, it's faster. When you go to the attribute table, we find a button here, an add field button. If you click it, it will send you to the fields view and you can add a field. Or when you click these three tabs here, it will open a pop-up and you can go to fields view. So we go to fields view. Let's take off these other guys. We go to fields view, and here you can click down here and add a new field. Okay, so let's add a new field. Say area. Copy that, let's send it to the next area, and let it be a double, so that because area can have double, right? So we also talk about domains later. Now, once you edit a layer, you see the tabs up here have changed. There's a fields tab now. There are contextual tabs, as I said. Once you edit a layer, it brings you to, it gives you several options. Okay, once you go into the edit mode too, it also gives you several options. So you can click, you should click save, so that it saves the edits you've made before it saves the project. So this guy up here saves the project, but the big save button here saves the edits you've made, right? So we can go back, close this guy, and then you realize that the area has been added. So now we want to calculate the area of each of the water bodies. Okay, so you click the field, right click it, and go to calculate geometry. There's calculate field and calculate geometry. I want to calculate geometry. You click it, opens the calculate geometry window. Now area is by default selected because that's where the field we want to use to calculate. Now you set property to area, and this is the only area here. So area geodesic, and it will give you the units that are available for you. So let's say we want it in square meters, right? And then we select a coordinate system of the current map of WGS 1984. You click OK, and it should calculate the areas for all the polygons, the water bodies that are available, right? Right. So this is in square meters. You can also go ahead and change it to maybe hectares if you so want. So let's say we do hectares. We'll recalculate and give us the smaller values in hectares. Right. So that's another thing that you can do. Right. So domains. Let me quickly go to domains. So to go to domains, you should go back to your fields view. But to change domains or to create domains, you should go to the fields view through or in the geo database. Okay, now whatever you do in the geo database is available to all the layers. Okay, so what am I talking about? So we want to create options. Domains actually allow the user to select from several options. Okay, it gives the user several options to select from, so that they don't have to do a lot of typing and for the sake of data integrity and all that. So let's say we want to create a simple yes, no, maybe domain. We can create it for any of these guys. So let's create it for the so you right click the geodatabase, right? You right click the geodatabase and you go to domains, right? And you click here to add a domain. So domain, just give it a name, and domain name response. And then on the right side here is where you make your changes. So you give it a code and a description. So when you click the code, you can add in yes as the code. And because maybe you can add y as the code, okay? And then description is yes. You can also do the same for both of them. So you realize that you'll be seeing yes, no, and maybe M for maybe, right? Pun not intended. All right, so now that these have been saved, you need to make sure that whatever the field type is already text. So you need to make sure that whatever field that you are setting a domain for has a field type of text. Domains only work with text. So you can't. So the let's say the water bodies. The water bodies. Let's go in here. The area field that we created has a field type of double. So it won't accept a domain. But the type, right? The water body type here has a field type of text, right? Also, the name has a field type of text. So let's create one more field. Let's create one more field. Go to fields view and maybe call this field is this. Oops. Okay, the field, let's make the field name WhatsApp. Let's make the alias, sorry. Is this a WhatsApp 40? Right, and we change the data type to text. Now, when we scroll all the way to the right, we see a domain field. This is where you attach the domain. So once you click it, it gives you all the domains available in the system, right? But for now, there's just one response. So you click it, you attach it, then you go and save your edits before you close this guy. So once you close it, now it has added our field. So once you double click inside, it gives you these three options. Is this a water body? So this is no, because the type is a forest. You can click yes, can click yes. You see, so when you get here, you don't know what it is, but the type is also, so we can also select maybe, right? So, and then save your data. So that is it about domains. So quickly move on to the toolboxes. I think in the next 5-10 minutes, we should be done for now. So you go to the analysis, you go to toolboxes. So let's say analysis tools and then favorites toolboxes. So the most useful tools, some of them are the conversion tools. You know, you have data in one format, you want to change it to a different format, right? You can do that from here. Data management tools, data interoperability, I think editing tools also. Yeah. So let's say conversion tools, okay, as I was saying, if you have data in one format, maybe KML, you want to bring your KML data to as a layer in ArcGIS, you can do that. And from also ArcGIS feature layer to KML, you can also easily do that and just continue to use your data wherever and in whatever environment that you want to use it in. So let's go to the Edit tab and check out a few things. So in the Edit tab, there are several things that you can do to manage your data. Okay, so there are things we call templates. Okay, we call templates are basically copies of your actual feature layer. They're copies of your actual feature layer. So what they do is, maybe you want to create a data collection form, okay, and you want them to you want to collect data from maybe farmers, and you already have some data on them. You already have their names, you already have their farmer ID, and you just want to confirm certain other data sets or information, or maybe you want to collect some new information. Okay, yes, maybe there are cocoa bags, the number of cocoa bags, the number of farms they have. You want to confirm all those things. You want to get that new information. So you create what we call templates, so that you have the same layer with different names, with different farmer IDs, so that they can collect different data from the farmers and add it all to that one layer. I don't know if it makes much sense, but basically what a template does, it gives you a standard platform that you can use to, do several other things at the same time without damaging the original one, right? So templates don't affect each other. So to create a template, you can simply go to create, click create. Whilst you're in the edit tab, click create in the features pane, and then you realize it has listed all the feature layers that are viewed, okay, that are visible, and it has not brought up the ones that are not visible. So you go to this little button on the right side and click manage template. You can also click manage templates in the manage edits tab. So now, because Ghana Natural is selected, so now it has brought all the layers within the map. So you can go ahead and select the layer you want. So maybe we want to update this data. There are places in Greater Accra or communities in Greater Accra that have new health facilities. You want to update the data. So let's click the health facilities layer, and then you go to duplicate. So that I simply duplicate this layer. Okay, so because it is duplicating, you are not losing your original layer. So let's say we are adding a new feature. So first of all, let's confirm the number of health facilities we have in our data set. So down here, 422 health facilities, meaning if we add one, we should get 423. So let's say New Age Hospital, right? Right. So you, from general tools, you don't change anything from here. Go to attribute. You can choose to let all these things stay the same. And then region, you give it, Greater Accra. And then name, you give it New Age Hospital, right? So we can leave this the way it is, okay? So that when the user goes to, or when maybe a mapper or an enumerator goes to the field, he can actually collect the remaining information through the mobile application. So you just click OK. And now we have a new template. It's the same, it has the same attributes as the health facilities. Okay. So the only way to add the information collected here into the attribute table to make it 423 is if the user actually goes to the field, or the enumerator goes to the field and actually collects the data and uploads it, then it updates this health facilities layer, right? So that is basically it's about templates. So we've done labeling, and I want us to simply share and end this for now. And then if there are questions, if there's maybe I was going too fast or maybe too slow, you let me know, and then we can see how we can fix things. So to share your map, first of all, to share, there are several share options. To share as a package, then share as or to online. Okay, to share to online, and simply to save it. That is also another way of sharing, and also to bring it out as an output. Okay, so as a project package, it puts all your items, all your data, all your maps, everything all together in a portable file. Okay, so that you can simply upload it to the web, or you can simply save it to a storage device, and then whenever you pick it up, you can simply continue working. Or as a map package. So instead of saving it as a project package, it saves it as a map package. The difference is that with this, you can open it on a different platform. Maybe you can open it on ArcMap. Okay, but as a project package, you can only open it on ArcGIS Pro. And even the problem with these options are that the version of ArcGIS Pro you use to create the map package, you may not be able to open the data or the package in a lower version, right? So that's just something you should know. So as a mobile map package too, you can open it in, it packages everything, and you can open it in the mobile platforms. So it also saves it you can also save it as a layer package, which also basically does the same thing, puts it all in a portable layer, and then you are good to go whenever you need it. So as a web map, it also puts everything together and creates a web map from it, from your data, everything you have in your interface, whether you've made it visible or you disabled it. Every layer within here will be saved as a web map, and then sends to ArcGIS Online. But most of the time, you want to use this guy. That is, if you want to deal with online, you want to use this guy, the web layer. You click the drop down, it gives you publish web layer, overwrite web layer, and save as offline service definition. So you want to use publish web layer. When you click it, on the right hand side, open a sharing pane, and you'll be able to set certain configurations so that your layer will be visible in ArcGIS Online. So we name this so Greater Accra Region Facility or features. Let's say features. Okay. So here in the location, you can create a folder in ArcGIS Online. Let's save it there, or you can save it in an already existing folder. We talk about ArcGIS Online in the next session. Or if you have groups in ArcGIS Online, you can simply share it in the group. You can share it with everyone, make it public so that everyone can access it without needing any authorization. Or you can share it within just your company. Yes. So once you click, so ideally you should click analyze before publish, but once you click publish, it will analyze anyway. So when you come to configuration tab here within this pane and click this edit button, it gives you certain configurations, feature properties that you can configure. Approve for data collection, so that if the enumerator goes to the field, the enumerator can actually collect data using your web, the web map created from this layer. Okay, and then enable editing and allow editors to add, delete, update based on what you actually want them to do. Enable sync and export data. So we click analyze. Give it a second, and usually it will tell you the the last one, layer data source is not supported. That's for these two base maps, but that is not an error, it's just a warning. But these two, right? So unique numeric IDs are not assigned. To do that, simply double click this map. Okay, double click this map button here, or right click, go to properties, and down here in general, allow assignment of unique numeric IDs for sharing web layers. So go to OK, and it will take care of this. To take care of this, you can come to this guy and then select the layer in the contents pane. Okay, because we don't want to publish this anyway, we can simply remove it. We can even remove all of these. So this works pretty much like what's the name? Windows. So you can simply click or press what's the name? Control and then select and click, and it will select everything. Right. So we analyze one more time, and it should not give us any errors. And now we can publish. Once it's done publishing, it will give us a link down here to manage the web layer, which we'll do later on. So after this, I'll just show you how to print the map so that you can use it for, you can get a hard copy of the map and then use it for your maybe ground truthing exercises. Let's just give this a minute. So to create or to share your map and print your map as a PDF, you have to create a map layer. So to create a map layer, you go to Insert tab, and sorry, you have to create a map layout. You go to New Layout. Because this a more expansive feature, it's going to be a landscape mode. So let's do RCD landscape, and you need to add the map frame. This map frame, you need to add it to your map layout. So you go to map frame, and then instead you go to map frame and then select your map frame. So you go to a corner, click and drag it, and then release, and it will fall in there. So don't worry if it comes like this. Simply right click, go to the topmost, go to activate, or you can simply press Q on your keyboard. When you activate, you can zoom in so that you better position your feature. Okay, you better position your feature as much as you want. Good. So once it's done, you click the close button here. So this is a link I was talking about, but we'll click it another time. So you can reposition your frame, map frame, the way you want. Good. So this should be good. So to add a title, you simply come to the graphics and text. Click the text box here. So you can simply put this guy here, and by default, the text will come very small, but you can edit that later on. Edit that later on. So we want to type Greater Accra Health Facilities, roads, major roads, and water bodies. Okay. So to edit this guy, you click outside, double click the text, and then it will give you this the ability to edit it. All right. So once we are here, this is where we can actually edit it to make it look to make it look better or bigger. So you go through, go to text symbol and increase it as high as practical. Just play around with it and then try and see which is best and how you want your the map name to look. So let's just do 68 and see. Okay, that's too big. Okay, that's too. Okay, let's keep it this way. And let's make it bold. Let's make it bold. What's up, buddies? Right. Right. So, right. Can choose to add grid lines. To add a north arrow, go to the north arrow at the map surrounds. So map surrounds is where you do most of the cartography. Okay, the visualization things you need to add to your map to make it to help the user interpret. So you click the north arrow you want, and then click and drag, position it well. Yes, and then you can add your skill bar. Let's do metric kilometers. We come down here, click and drag and put it there. Then let's add a legend. You can click the drop down and select how you want your legend to look. Click and drag, and you have your legend there. And you have the legend properties here. You can change the size, yes, to make it more visible. So yes, you can also add border to your legend, make it look better. So border, right? So right now, let's see, you want to add it this way, and you want the line to look bigger. Right, offset. Let's see. Okay. So these ones you just play around with it, and then you're able to get the how you want it to look, right? So you can just, so basically this is it. Additional surrounds, I think, let's see. Right. So can go through and then see what else you may want to add. Okay, yeah, what else you may want to add? Grid lines. Guys, let's, okay. Okay, so I think at this stage, it looks all right, but I'm trying to find to add grid lines. I think it's useful sometimes, but some of these updates, they change things, the positions of things and all. Right, so it's almost 1 hour, 30 minutes. Okay. I think we can end it here for now. and then I'll find it, and then later on we can get on with it. So basically, to create a map layout, this is the process you go through. So we have gone through some terminologies. We have gone through some how to add data and some geoprocessing tools, how to add fields, how to create a feature layer, how calculate geometry, labeling, how to create a map layout, how to share. So once you are done with this, for example, you go to this share, okay, and you print your layout. Print your layout. You also have to go through some of the settings to make sure that it's looking good. How you want to print your layout, it's looking good before you go ahead. And let's see, this is a landscape. Yeah. So we click print and it should ask you where you want to put it. Let's say, oops. Let's just say I'm putting it here. GAR. Right. Once again, once it's done, notifies me. I can pull it up. And give me a second. Let me see what we did. So this is what it gave us. So once you go in and you work on the labeling and all that, it should give you a nicer, output.